Janice Bullock disappeared from southern Mississippi several years after having a fallout with her family and losing custody of her children. She wasn't reported missing until 2017, even though her family had not seen or heard from her for 40 years at this point. No progress would be made in her investigation until January of 2022, when police made a disturbing discovery. You can do your part to help spread awareness for this case by clicking the share button beneath this video. You can even leave a simple comment below so that YouTube can give the case a bit more exposure on their end as well. And while you're down there, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any of the other cases I'll be covering in the coming weeks. Janice Bullock kept most of her personal life private, so we're gonna need to fill in a few gaps of her story on our own just by piecing together the many pieces of this complicated cold case. From the best I can tell, while Janice Bullock wasn't a particularly difficult person to be around, she definitely had her problems. We don't know the specifics of why she lost custody of her children, but sometime in 1974, the courts decided that she was no longer fit to be a parent. To make things even more unusual, we also don't know why she was brought to court once again in 1977. It was around this time that Janice disappeared. Her family reported that the last confirmed sighting of her was on May 28, 1977. At some point between May of 77 and early 78, she vanished without a trace, and no one heard another word from her. She'd been summoned to court in June of 1977, but she didn't appear. It's been reported that she may have worked at a truck stop during this time, being employed as a waitress. However, these witness reports have never been confirmed, and most of Janice's life remains a mystery. Unfortunately for Janice and her family, her missing person case never received much attention from the media. Not only had she disappeared from her family's lives, but it also seemed as though she'd vanished from the earth as a whole. Though while her whereabouts around this time were uncertain, there was a theory that's been passed around, claiming that she may have become the victim of a serial criminal named Terry Rasmussen. Terry was a very serious criminal who made his way all across the United States throughout the 1970s and the early 2000s. After his spree had ended, he claimed the lives of 6 people. He also earned himself the nickname the Chameleon Killer, as he used various aliases over the years to conceal his identity. It was even believed that Janice may have been the mother of one of Terry's children. If this is true, it could have helped to not only solve Janice's missing person case, but also the case of the Bear Brook Jane Doe, as the Jane Doe had strong ties to the area of Pearl River County, Mississippi, where Janice was from. Police carried out a genetic genealogy test somewhat recently, and examined the DNA that they'd collected for Janice, and the DNA they collected from the Bear Brook Jane Doe. Unfortunately, there was no familial tie between these two people, proving that their cases were entirely separate from one another. The next theory that police needed to explore was the job that she supposedly worked at, where she would wait tables at a truck stop. When police explored this lead, they quickly learned that the owner of the truck stop was a man named Bernell Dedeaux. As they dug deeper into the past to keep the investigation rolling forward, they learned that he had claimed the life of his wife back in 1981, then later claimed his own life. Bernell was known to be a very volatile individual, so police had every reason to believe that he may have also had some sort of fallout with Janice. Though police weren't even able to confirm whether or not Janice even knew the owner of the truck stop, much less if he could have been involved in her mysterious disappearance somehow. After investigating this lead, the case came to a standstill. With so much time having passed between the time when Janice went missing and the time when her family reported her disappearance, police had virtually no evidence to work with. That is, until they found out that Janice was actually still alive and well. In January of 2022, 5 years after Janice was finally reported missing, police made a huge leap in the case. With nowhere else to turn, the police issued a request through the Mississippi Coast Crime Stoppers and asked the public for information about Janice. In a shocking twist, a man reached out and claimed that he was the son of Janice's second husband. Unfortunately, her husband had passed away several years ago, but their son was still alive and well. He spoke with police and shed new light on the decades-old cold case. He provided police with family photos that had been taken over the years. The man now lived in Texas, but he led investigators back to Mississippi, where they soon learned that Janice had been living under an assumed name for decades. Police found out that Janice had been living in a nursing home after suffering from an undisclosed illness. While here, she'd convinced the staff of her newly adopted name, and no further questions were asked about her new alias. However, when police arrived and spoke with her, she opened up and explained that she'd been in hiding for the last few decades, presumably in fear of being taken to court for whatever took place in 1977, all those years ago. Police never revealed exactly what Janice was wanted for or why she had gone on the run. However, the case got even more interesting from here. After Janice revealed her identity to officers, her son pulled them aside and informed them of some very interesting information. According to her son, he had reason to believe that he wasn't actually a blood relative of Janice. She and her late husband had raised him and claimed him as their own for decades, but he claimed that he came across a piece of information that suggested that he may have been kidnapped as a baby, then sold to Janice and her late husband for $1,000. Unfortunately, this is where the case ends though. The man has said that he plans on taking a DNA test to find out if he is the legitimate son of Janice, but he isn't sure what will happen next if he finds out that his speculation is correct. But this is where we're left. Yes, Janice was found, but the mystery only gets deeper at this point, and no further updates have been issued from police. But that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you loved it, maybe consider sharing, subscribing, or clicking that blue join button below to really show your support for the channel. But I've been Ty Knotts. You guys have been lovely, and I'll catch you in the next video.